Hi, Spartans. My name is Keith Hennig. It is my privilege to serve as principal of Skyline High School. I'd like to welcome you to our Student of the Quarter celebration. And I'm going to be honest, this is one of my favorite days each quarter as we get an opportunity to celebrate and talk about some of the great things that our students are doing. Usually I would say on campus at school. Now I'll say some of the great things our students are doing virtually at school. But at Skyline, we have what's called a Skyline Learner Profile, which highlights 11 characteristics that we at Skyline talk about that we want our students to strive to be. And each quarter, we highlight 3 or 4 of those Spartan Learner Profile characteristics, and we send an email out to staff and ask for staff to recommend and students who have fit certain characteristics of that profile. And this Student of the Quarter presentation, we are focusing on 4 learner profile traits or characteristics, being principled, balanced, engaged, and communicators. So our staff has an opportunity to nominate any student that fits one of those traits, one of those characteristics. And tonight is our opportunity, or today is our opportunity to talk and introduce those students and talk a little bit about what the staff member said about them. So this is a great day each quarter. It's a day that I really look forward to because it's a time to talk about some of the great things that our students are doing on campus or virtually. So welcome to tonight's presentation of our Student of the Quarter students. And I'm going to turn it over to Assistant Principal, Mr. Phelan, who is going to introduce our first characteristic, and that is students who are principled. So welcome, have a great night.
Good afternoon, Spartans. I'm Mr. Phelan. I'm one of your assistant principals here at Skyline, and I'm excited to talk to you about all of our students who are nominated in the category of principled for Student of the Quarter. These are students who act with integrity and honesty, with a strong sense of fairness and justice, and with respect for the dignity and rights of people everywhere. They take responsibility for their actions and their consequences. Our first student in this category is Chris Frankovich. Ms. Bennett would like to recognize Chris for a Student of the Quarter. Chris is kind and thoughtful. He isn't afraid to ask for help when it's needed and works hard to succeed. Mrs. Bennett is proud to be his teacher and looks forward to learning more about him in the coming months. Our next student is Charlie Jennings. Dr. Kamath would like to recognize Charlie for supporting his colleagues during online learning and by being a passionate student and assuming leadership roles when expected in his science course. Our next student is Abhinav Kunderu. Ms. Bassett says Abhinav is kind, honest, inquisitive, hardworking, and a delight in our class during online learning. He is someone who exemplifies dignity, and he continuously works to uphold Skyline values. Next up is Reese Manley. Mrs. Gordino would like to recognize Reese Manley's continued ownership and responsibility in her own learning. Reese seeks to understand the math content, ask questions, and engage fully. Next up is Uma Mohan. Mrs. Bennett would like to recognize Uma for Student of the Quarter. Uma works hard, asks great questions, and contributes daily to our class. She always is the first to turn on her camera to help Mrs. Bennett be a more effective teacher. Thanks for helping our classroom feel more inviting. Next up is Matthew Rubior. Mrs. Bennett would like to recognize Matthew for Student of the Quarter. Mrs. Bennett is so proud of the hard work Matthew has put in recently and the dramatic improvement that has resulted. Keep up the great work. Next up is Eric Shu. Ms. Peterson and Ms. Morales are proud to nominate Eric as a principled learner. Eric approaches his academics and peers with integrity and honesty. He can be relied on to openly speak his heart and truly listen to others with an open mind. He actively takes responsibility for his learning, and for this, we salute him. Thanks so much to all the students in this category who were nominated as being principled learners.
Hello, this is Mr. Bucher, one of your assistant principals, and I am here to present our students in the balanced category. Students who are balanced understand the importance of balancing different aspects of their lives, intellectual, physical, and emotional, to achieve well-being for themselves and others. They recognize their interdependence with other people and with the world in which they live. Our first student in the balanced category is Anushka Ayadavara. Anushka is passionate about chemistry, as is evident in her engagement, but Dr. Kamath also admires that she balances academics with piano and short trips with her close friends, promoting self-care to others to rejuvenate herself. Great job, Anushka. Next up is Daniel Dixon. Mrs. Bennett would like to recognize Daniel Dixon for Student of the Quarter. Daniel has mastered the balance between school and personal time. He excels at working efficiently, so he is able to have more time for his mental and physical well-being. Keep up the great work, Daniel. Next, we have Yoonjun Ko. Dr. Sharma says Yoonjun is interactive, determined, and helpful. He's very respectful and patient. Great job. Next, we have Alex Kozulchek. Miss Bassett says Alex is such a kind, passionate, creative, and fearless student. She creates a fun and motivated environment in our virtual classroom that is infectious to all students and teachers. Keep it up, Alex. Next is Pablo Lorraine. Mrs. Bennett would like to recognize Pablo Lorraine for Student of the Quarter. Pablo does an excellent job in class. Mrs. Bennett was so glad to see him connecting our project to his personal life by featuring his step-grandmother in our scientist project. Thank you for sharing. It was so cool to hear about her. Nice job, Pablo. Next is Lex Martinkowski. Dr. Louie nominates Lex Martinkowski as a balanced Skyline student who is always engaged in class, respectful in his communications, and consistently makes an effort to share not only his learning of biology, but his personality and pursuits as well, which include a well-rounded routine of working out, taking care of his puppy, Piper, and starting his own sourdough bread and croissant bakery business. Next is Isabella Patton. Mrs. Bennett would like to recognize Isabella Patton for Student of the Quarter. Isabella is always giving her all to learning. She works hard, and Mrs. Bennett is so proud of her. Next, we have Emily Sakamoto. Mrs. Bennett would like to recognize Emily Sakamoto for Student of the Quarter. Emily works hard in class, she works well in groups, and she consistently communicates with Mrs. Bennett. She balances many responsibilities with grace. Mrs. Bennett also appreciates that she has her camera on to help with lesson pacing. Nice job, Emily. Next up, we have Richard Tang. Mrs. Flemmer nominates Richard Tang for his incredible sense of empathy, compassion, and inquisitiveness. Richard always has a great book recommendation, has given Ms. Flemmer amazing online resources that could be helpful with other students, and his emails always leave her with a smile. With an outstanding vocabulary, genuine interest in others, and sense of humor to boot, Richard is an absolute delight to work with. And lastly, we have Paola Valdez. Mrs. Bennett would like to recognize Paola Valdez for Student of the Quarter. Paola is an excellent communicator and is great at planning ahead. She knows the importance of staying healthy and that you must prioritize your own health. Also, she was able to get caught up efficiently in class. Great work, Paola.
Hi there, I'm Todd Cappy, school counselor here at Skyline. We're talking about our engaged students of the quarter. Students who are engaged develop positive relationships with peers, staff, community, and family in order to better themselves and others. They pursue their passions, actively contributing to making their learning community the best it can be. We got Kiana Arneson. Ms. Havlin and Mr. Yulin would like to nominate Kiana for her consistent participation on hard work this year. She's often the first to participate and provide personal connections. Way to go, Kiana. Sam Basu. Ms. Hall truly appreciates Sam's engagement in IB Business Management SL. She often uses the Zoom chat feature to share her thoughts and ideas and also shares out loud to the whole class. Her participation always makes me smile. Angeli Boothfer. Profe Villalobos is nominating Angeli Rosa in her Spanish IB class for her engagement in class. She is always ready to participate, ready to answer, and she always turns on her camera, which makes it easier to engage. Parker Cody. Ms. Havlin and Mr. Yulin would like to nominate Parker for consistent participation on hard work this year. We appreciate seeing their video on and their perspectives on the subjects. Way to go. Ellie Cohen. Mr. Gaffey is nominating Ellie for her positive relationships she's taken time to build, especially with staff new to Skyline, like myself. She's very helpful in giving me tips on how to get acclimated to Skyline. She also did an amazing job helping me feel welcome and gave me some incredible music recommendations as well. I'm honored to serve as Ellie's school counselor for her senior year. Julia Esser Jose. Dr. Kamath wants to nominate Julia for being a positive influence on her peers in class. She actively participates and supports her small groups in learning, which benefits everybody. Maya Flintoff. Miss Cordino is nominating Maya for her excellent engagement, disciplined work habits, and maturity in taking responsibility for her own learning. Maya is an asset to any classroom she is in. Subham Garg. Dr. Sharma would like to nominate Subham Garg in the engaged category. Subham is always ready to learn with all the work done, the camera turned on, and asking good questions. She really appreciates it. And I apologize if I'm mispronouncing people's names. Make sure you send me an email and say, hey, Kathy, get it right next time. Doing the best I can. Aiden Girth. Aiden's LASS block teachers would like to nominate him for his excellent engagement this year. We see you working hard to participate, especially when it would be easier to choose and disengage. We appreciate you. Nate Gaynor. Mr. Sherman's nominating Nate for his deep engagement in business courses. Nate is fully leveraging what Skyline has to offer as he prepares for university studies. Camera on, mind engaged. Nice job, Nate. Nicholas Gu. Mrs. Bennett would like to recognize Nicholas for Student of the Quarter. He's always engaged in class, works diligently, and communicates with Mrs. Bennett as needed. He enjoys the Mars rover landing over break. He enjoyed it, and he's continuing to learn in his free time, which we love to see. Keep up the good work, Nicholas. Katarina Grunis. Katarina is nominated by Jonathan King because of her engagement and continued leadership in class discussions, both in chat and verbally. She truly sets an example for her classmates. Her engagement was all the more admirable given the reality and limitations of remote learning. Akshara Gundamita. Dr. Kamath is nominating Akshara for being a positive presence in her peers' lives, not just academically in class, but also by adding joy to their lives outside of school. It was incredibly nice to think of organizing a virtual celebration for your friend and put a smile on her face at this challenging time. Nice job, Akshara. Jackson Guzman Benedict. Mrs. Bennett would like to recognize Jackson Guzman Benedict for Student of the Quarter. Jackson has been doing very well at being engaged in class and asking for help when he's great at communicating, and Mrs. Bennett is very proud of his progress. Rishi Hazra. Mrs. Zybart is recognizing Rishi for his amazing participation in concert choral. He's a pianist who has prepared some songs for the class, and he's a section leader for his baritone guys. And he's one of the first to always offer a positive remark in response to our choir singing and recordings. Dylan Hernandez. Dylan's LASS block teachers nominate him for persevering through this tough year and staying engaged. We see his attention and hard work. Way to go, Dylan. Eli Jason. Ms. Havlin and Mr. Yulin would like to nominate Eli for his consistent participation and hard work this year. Eli is a natural leader in our class and helps during group work. Way to go, Eli. Grace King. Dr. Sharma would like to recognize Grace King as an engaged learner. She's respectful and works hard to stay that way. Alexis Kozyglaevsk. Thank you, Alexis, for your patience with my pronunciation. Ms. Dunbar would like to nominate Alex, for their willingness to take a risk and volunteer in class. She always has her camera on, and Ms. Dunbar can count on Alex to keep the class going if the rest of the class is quiet. Kofi Villalobos is nominating Alex for her engagement in the Spanish 3 class. She's a student who is always motivated to learn new things, asking questions, ready to participate, and she always turns her camera on, making it easier to engage. Adarsh Kumarappan. Mr. Ennis is nominating Parash for winter quarter of the engaged category. He always comes to class ready to learn, always has his camera on, is quick to help other students or ask for clarifications, and executes all of his graphic design projects within the deadlines given to high level. Nice job, Adarsh. Molly Kurtenbach. Ms. Peterson and Ms. Morales are proud to nominate Molly Kurtenbach for her engagement in humanities. Molly positively contributes to our class community by actively making meaningful connections to our content as well as to her peers. Her openness in sharing personal connections and passions warmly invites others to do the same, creating a richer, more connected environment for all of us. 3 cheers for Molly. Charles Lee. Miss Dunbar would like to nominate Charles for being such an active member in our first period algebra. He is willing to volunteer answers and is active in both the chat and his talking. Really appreciate the ability and willingness to help the class go on. Thanks, Charles, for being so awesome. Alonzo Lopez. Miss Aidi is nominating Alonzo for his hard work in semester 1. Alonzo made a plan for himself and stuck to it for the semester. 1 grades, and they were awesome. Alonzo always asks for help when needed and is very appreciative of the assistance he receives. Great job, Alonzo. Katie Manning. Katie's strong engagement in IB Business Management SL is appreciated by Miss Hall. Katie never hesitates to jump in on a discussion with her ideas on a topic and relevant examples, which makes class much more fun and engaging. Nice job, Katie. Ashwin Manoran. Dr. Kamath enthused that Ashwin is such a positive presence in her class with his constant volunteering and passion for learning chemistry. Ella Matias. Dr. Kamath is nominating Ella for her passionate participation in her chemistry class. Her engagement with content is evident in the depth of her questions. Shivani Modi, excuse me. Mrs. Toy is delighted each day when Shivani turns on her camera to say hello. She brings sunlight and happiness to class with her presence, and it's contagious. Plus, she's an excellent student. Julia Morales. Julia, according to Dr. Kamath, is nominating Julia for her constant engagement in her science class. Your curiosity, Julia, and questions benefit several peers in advancing their passion for science. Evan Morey. Mr. Sherman's nominating Evan for his consistent engagement in our accounting course. Evan's camera is on and he asks insightful questions that indicate his depth of thought about the discipline. Adita Nair. Miss Morales and Miss Peterson nominating Adita for consistent engagement with class content, which shows through frequent contributions to class discussion. A daunting task during remote learning. You inspire your peers with ideas and questions. Nice job. It is Natalia. Got it, Natalia. Although Miss Wentz and Mr. Highland are just getting to know Natalia, they are blown away with how engaged she is during PE. Not only is her camera on during workouts, but also at all times. She's fully present in class through her body language, facial expressions, and both the chat box and speaking out loud. Nice job, Natalia. Elise Parrott. Ms. Haviland and Mr. Yulin would like to nominate Elise for her consistent participation in hard work this year. She seeks clarification to deepen her understanding. Nice job, Elise. Bruce Chion. Mrs. Bennett would like to recognize Bruce for Student of the Quarter. Bruce consistently has his camera on to help with pacing, works diligently, and asks for help when needed. Thanks for your commitment to learning, Bruce. Vidya Ramamurthy. Dr. Sharma is nominating Vidya for Student of the Quarter. Vidya is interactive and stays engaged. She motivates other students and asks good questions. Kaylani Randall. Kaylani's LA and SS block teachers would like to nominate her for her engagement this year. She tries her best to participate in class by keeping her video on and staying positive. We appreciate you, Kaylani. Pranav Rangashwamy. Pranav. Mrs. Bennett would like to recognize you as Student of the Quarter. You ask great questions in class and contribute actively to learning. You work hard and isn't afraid to help or ask for help if needed. Keep it up, Pranav. Orion Ratan. Dr. Kamath is nominating Orion for being super engaged in chemistry this past semester and being a principled and responsible student in her science class. Joel Roy. Miss Morales and Miss Bassett are continually grateful for Joel's active engagement during this class. He's a role model for all to actively engage during their learning in the classroom and beyond. He fearlessly asks both clarifying and thoughtful questions of the content learnings and bravely volunteer for anything asked of in class. Nice job, Joel. Matthew Schmal. Ms. Havlin and Mr. Yulin would like to nominate Matthew for his consistent participation and hard work this year. He's trying hard, and we can tell. Nice job, Matthew. Sarah Schmidt. Ms. Peterson and Ms. Morales would like to recognize Sarah for the many ways her engagement in class, content, and coursework contribute to a better learning environment for all. From asking analytical questions to being a leader in small group discussions, Sarah is a rock star in the virtual classroom. Shnia Sivasubramanian. Got to school me on that, girl. Dr. Kamath wants to nominate Shnerna for being a positive influence on her peers in class. She actively participates and supports her small group in learning, which benefits them all. Ava Smith. Mrs. Toy nominates Ava because she makes each class a more positive place. Ava brings a desire to learn in class and is an example to others of how they should stay engaged. Juliana Southwick. Ms. Haviland and Mr. Yulin would like to nominate Juliana for her consistent participation and hard work this year. Juliana is helpful to her peers and is a natural leader. Way to go. Mason Staley. Ms. Haviland and Mr. Yulin would like to nominate Mason for her consistent participation and hard work this year. Mason is a natural leader in our class and helps during group work. Way to go. Darren Susaner. Mrs. Bennett would like to recognize Darren for student of the quarter. Darren's always engaged in class. He asks fantastic questions and he connects with those around him. Mrs. Bennett really enjoys getting to chat with him and learning more about him. Nice job there. And Hannah Taffy. Miss Maconya. Sorry about that. Says Hannah is a great student. She participates actively in all classroom assignments. She also helps other students within the classroom. She's a class leader and very responsible. Ian Taskey. Ms. Dunbar would like to thank Ian for his contributions in lab class, both verbally and in the chat. She can always count on Ian to ask clarifying questions, and he will always share his answers when requested. If he has a question, he will send it to me in the chat, and that helps the entire class. Ellie Yvonne. Ellie is a PE veteran, and Ms. Wentz and Mr. Highland are both excited that she's back for another semester. Ellie always has her camera on and stays engaged. She often makes Ms. Wentz laugh in the chat, but still consistently works hard, making her an awesome student to have each day. Hannah Wing. Mrs. Santos is nominating Hannah in recognition of her exceptional class engagement during online learning. Hannah frequently has her camera on and contributes meaningful to all class discussions. She leads out in small groups and doesn't stop at the minimum. She's been a wonderful example of engaged learning and remote learning. Sydney Williams. Mr. A is nominating Sydney as an engaged learner for always contributing in class and in the school community in general. She's readily available to answer questions and help her peers. Sarah Schuin. Mrs. Bennett would like to recognize Sarah for student of the quarter. Sarah works hard, always submits work on time, and asks for help when needed. She regularly contributes to class. She's very dependable. And we're looking at Christiana Zhang. Ms. Havlin and Ms. Bassett would like to nominate Christina for her consistent communication and engagement. She tries her best to participate and ask questions to deepen her understanding. Way to go, Christina. Thank you, everybody. I apologize for any pronunciations. You deserve to have your name pronounced correctly. Doing the best I can. Hope to see you soon, Spartans. All right, bye-bye.
Hi, my name is Alana Barron, and I'm an assistant principal at Skyline High School. It's my pleasure to introduce this next group of students who've been honored by their teachers for being fantastic communicators. These are students who express themselves confidently in many ways and often in more than one language. They collaborate effectively, listen carefully to the perspectives of other individuals and groups. Our first student today is Caroline Abeda. Profe Villalobos would like to recognize Caroline for her amazing effort in the usage of Spanish when communicating in class and her effort in finding different opportunities to use the language and improving in it. Nice job, Caroline. Our next student is Mahir Bihare. Ms. Toy appreciates Mahir's contribution to class immensely. He brings insight, expertise, and is very present in class. His mastery of the Spanish language is impressive. Our next student is Jacob Berg. Profe Villalobos would like to recognize Jacob for his amazing effort in the usage of Spanish when communicating in class and his effort in finding different opportunities to use the language and improving in it. Way to go, Jacob. This student is Derek Carvalho. Mrs. Bennett would like to recognize Derek Carvalho for Student of the Quarter. Derek excels at communication. He's quick to respond, he asks great questions, and he works hard in class. Thanks for your hard work, Derek. Our next student is Abi Darba. Ms. Maconia recognizes Abi as a great student and an effective communicator. He participates in class and asks questions or seeks clarification when he does not understand a concept. He's very friendly and outgoing. Thanks for helping everyone learn better, Abi. Our next student is Reeve Freeman. Mrs. Bennett would like to recognize Reeve for Student of the Quarter. He excels at communication. He is in close contact to update Mrs. Bennett on his progress or to ask for help when needed. Thank you, Reeve. Our next student is Palak Gowindwani. Dr. Kamath would like to recognize Palak for her ever positive presence in her first period class. Thank you for doing that in first period, I'd like to say. Palak initiates conversations every morning on fun topics, and Dr. Kamath often uses them as conversation starters as the day progresses. Our next student is Lynn He. Mrs. Bennett would like to recognize Lynn He for Student of the Quarter. Lynn works hard and is very communicative. Mrs. Bennett can always count on timely communication from her. Thank you. Our next student is Samir Khan. Mrs. Lackey would like to recognize Samir for his organized communication, self-advocacy with his teachers, and the determination not to give up in the face of adversity. Thank you for that, Samir. Next, we have Yeonjun Ko. Ms. Morales and Ms. Peterson would like to recognize Yeonjun for being a bright spot of verbal interaction during the quietness of Zoom classrooms. He expresses himself confidently, asking questions that benefit himself and others. He shares ideas during class discussions and is excited to explore the use of documents in more than one language in his research. Next, Ivan Kwok. Mrs. Bennett would like to recognize Ivan for Student of the Quarter. He is a consistent and clear communicator. He is sure to let his teachers know of troubles he's experiencing, and this makes it so much easier to help him when needed. Thank you, Ivan. Next, Brian Martinez Palma. Ms. Havlin and Ms. Bassett would like to nominate Bryant for his consistent communication and engagement. Bryant has worked hard this year to stay focused and ask questions to deepen his understanding. Way to go. Next, Rika Naik. Ms. Morales and Ms. Bassett are proud to nominate Rika Naik as our communicator champion. Rika regularly communicates with her teachers, ensuring that she feels set for success. She genuinely cares about her learning and skills development, which is apparent with every outreach she makes. We count on her to speak up and speak out to help herself better her learning, which in turn helps her peers and simultaneously helps us be better teachers. We appreciate her. Our next student is Sumaya Raman. Ms. Bennett would like to recognize Sumaya Raman for Student of the Quarter. Sumaya asks great questions and isn't afraid to ask for help when she needs it. She is dependable and reliable. Thank you for coming to office hours when you need help. Keep up the great work. Our next student is Luke Richardson. Ms. Sedlak nominates Luke for his awesome work in Algebra 2. Luke does a great job of engaging with the material and asking questions in class. His courage to ask questions during class not only helps him, but many other students as well. Thank you, Luke. Next up, Joel Roy. Mrs. Sedlak nominates Joel for his participation in class. She really appreciates how Joel is always willing to answer questions and share personal anecdotes from his life. Remote learning is tough, and she appreciates Joel's courage to speak during class. Next, we have Samuel Rucker. Dr. Kamath wants to recognize Samuel for his enthusiastic communication in class and adding cultural and international perspectives to classroom conversations. Thank you, Samuel. Next, we have Anushka Saxena. Ms. Sedlak nominates Anushka for her courage to ask questions during class. Your willingness to ask questions not only helps you, but helps everyone else. Keep up the good work. Next, we have Mia Schlepp. Ms. Sedlak nominates Mia for her willingness to share during class. She appreciates that you share with us what you did over the weekend and the courage you have to ask questions during the class time. These questions not only help you, but all the other students in the class as well. Please keep it up. Our next student is Joanna Turner. Dr. Sharma would like to nominate Joanna for Student of the Quarter. Joanna asks good questions that help other students to understand. Thank you so much for doing this, and please continue to do so. Our next student is Ryder Whitehead. Ms. Morales and Ms. Peterson would like to recognize Ryder for his recent efforts to effectively communicate regarding his coursework. He's always friendly and his humor shows through. His positive attitude is an example for all. Our next student is Sophie Schwen. Ms. Bennett would like to recognize Sophie for Student of the Quarter. Sophie is creative, productive, and dedicated. She works really hard to accomplish her goals, and Ms. Bennett really liked her final project for semester 1. It was so well done and so creative. Thank you, Sophie. And finally, we have Ming Chen Yang. Ms. Haviland and Ms. Bassett would like to nominate Ming Cheng for his consistent communication and engagement. Ming Cheng is a strong communicator who asks questions to deepen his understanding. Way to go. And I really just want to extend my heartfelt gratitude to all of these students and our faculty for recognizing their talents. And thank you all for joining us here today to honor these Spartans. Everyone, please keep up the hard work, and we'll have you join us again in the spring for another round of Student of the Quarter. Thank you for celebrating together with us today.